All right, welcome everybody to episode 4. I know we're really cranking them out here. Uh,
Second,
Episode 4 of our Unfiltered Racing Fans Only podcast. This is, we're in the off season now, so now we're into some of the fun things. Where the what ifs. So this week, for the last week, Blake and I have been talking about, schedule is a big part of the discussion every year. Where are they going to go? What tracks are going to get races, etc. So we decided to make our what would be dream schedule, or if we had control, if we were in charge of NASCAR, what our dream schedules would be, and we'll go in order. So I'm gonna go ahead and let Blake. You can start with yours first.
all right. Well, like we've been calling it between ourselves as king for a year.
Yep.
So my schedule is a 33 race schedule
Okay.
plus two exhibitions that we've had forever.
Okay.
So I did this based on 2025. We got to just wipe out what they posted, and this is what it's based off of. So, like I said, 33 races.
Yep.
The Saturday before the Super Bowl, so the weekend of the Super Bowl, is the Bud Shootout at Daytona.
Okay.
30 laps, cautions don't count, just like it used to be.
Okay.
Make it small, make it just that I remember watching that race when I was a kid, and I loved the 30 lap concept, and then we went to 75 and it was nuts.
Question
The
for you, since it's the opener. Who qualifies? Who?
Just pole sitters.
Just pole sitters. There's no plus pass champions or anything like that. It's just previous pole winners for the previous year and what
Pole winners from
race
last
winners.
year, and I'll let the guy that won the shootout from the previous year hasn't in it, that he'll get in, but not
Okay.
previous winners, just pole sitters from the previous year.
Okay. All right. I like that. I think the smaller field, the exhibition races shouldn't, I'm with you that it shouldn't include everybody. We want to bring the sport to people, but at the same time, we should be celebrating excellence. So I'm
Yep,
perfectly fine with that. All right.
yep.
Go ahead. So,
And then we're bringing back the twin 125s, not the
okay.
duals, twin 125s,
Okay.
February 13th. Daytona, obviously. Then we're going to Rockingham.
Okay.
And part of this for our viewers, I am team one. You get one race per track every year, unless it's an alteration of the racetrack.
Okay.
Charlotte Roval, that's two
Yeah.
different tracks. So Rockingham, Texas, Sonoma,
Okay.
Sonoma in the spring, green grass, beautiful. Why they haven't done it yet? Probably due to rain, supposedly. But
Yeah, but we
so
got sprinkle
Rockingham,
tires now, so let's do it.
yep, yep. So Texas, Sonoma, Phoenix. So you'll have a West Coast swing.
Yep.
Then you go to Martinsville, Atlanta, and here's what NASCAR will love this part. They'll absolutely love it. Nashville Fairgrounds. I don't want
Okay.
it, but there it is. And then off to Mexico City. So then we have our
We're gonna
first
go to
off week.
Mexico City. Okay.
I'm just kind of I wanted to keep, since it's 2025 and that contract's already there. I'm gonna keep that contract.
All right. Well, I violated it then, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I was
but
looking for the contract.
well, I
Great.
ran into I ran into the issue while making the schedule that um, I didn't want Chicago to be in there.
Okay.
I think I took us back to Chicago land, if I remember right, but that's
Okay.
going down the schedule. But anyway, so we got Easter weekend off,
Okay.
completely off, and then we go to Gateway, Lime Rock,
Ooh, I forgot
Mother's.
about Lime Rock. I did not
Yeah.
put that on my schedule. It didn't make my list of potential tracks. That's my bad because I would have wanted it, but okay.
So Lime Rock. Um, Saturday, Mother's Day weekend, we're in North Wilkesboro,
Okay.
and
Is
I
it
did
it's
North
a points race?
Wilkesboro. Yes,
Okay.
I did North Wilkesboro because it is near Charlotte. The drivers will be home with their wives for Mother's Day, that weekend
I like
easily.
that. Okay.
So then you got the All Star race at Charlotte. Now the asterisk here is yes, I'm taking it back to Charlotte. It's an exhibition race, but for years to come, it'll go to all 1.5 mile tracks,
Okay.
or
So it will follow and rotate. Okay.
potentially like a Darlington as well. It's not a mile and a half, but styles of tracks like that that I believe those races put on the best All Star races. Bristol was a terrible All Star race. North Wilkesboro really hasn't given us anything yet. We'll see what this year does, but
Yeah.
I
Well, I'm
want the
hoping with the softer tire that they learned about with Martinsville and everything, that when they come back this year, it'll be better still. So we'll see. But yeah.
so then you got your Coke 600 on Memorial Weekend. I'm not
Okay.
changing that. Then you go to Dover, like it used to be, right after Charlotte.
Hmm.
Then you got off week number 2. Then you go Father's Day weekend is in Michigan. I've
Okay.
kind of brought back the old format, but you're only going to tracks once, but bringing back certain things that we used to have. Back to Pocono, Iowa. Then July 4th weekend, and I had my buddy Chris Berry. We talked about this, and he said I forgot all about that, and he agreed with me full heartedly with this. We're going back to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin for Fourth of July weekend.
Okay.
300,000, 400,000 people went there. Was it 2 years in a row?
Hmm.
I'm not a fan of the track personally. It's too long, but the turnout was too great to turn
That's
that.
Road America, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's Fourth of July weekend.
That almost made it into mine, but because I will get to mine, yeah.
Yep. So then we go to New Hampshire, Nashville Super Speedway, Watkins Glen. August 3rd is Indy. Uh, this is one that Chris Berry also put in for. We're going to Pikes Peak, August 10th.
Okay.
And then Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is your last race of the regular season in Canada.
Is that the road course?
Yes, that's the one where Chase
Yeah.
Elliott won his first truck race where he decided
Okay.
to
So you're going to
punt
end the season on a road course. Okay.
the regular season. Yes. Um, it's road courses have been kind of crazy here and there, so
Yeah.
why not?
I just,
And, and
I,
and my thing is where I don't want to go to tracks twice. I can't end it on a plate track because you can't end it at Daytona. Talladega I had earlier in the year,
yeah.
and we're both. I think we both are on the same wavelength as plate tracks are just kind of
Hmm.
uh, too crazy in my opinion.
Yep.
So we get an off week before the playoffs.
Okay.
So
Yep.
then and the way it worked out is that first race is the Southern 500. It's Labor Day weekend. It works out fine. But my playoffs are going to be um, 8 races.
Okay.
There's going to be 2 races with 14 spots.
Okay.
Then you drop down to 10
Okay.
for round 2, and you drop down the championship round is 6. So it's twos, 3, and 3.
Okay.
2 races, 3 races, 3 races. So we've got uh, the Southern 500, and then the elimination race for that round is Bristol. Then we got round 2, 10 spots. Saturday, September 13th, we're going to Kentucky Speedway.
Okay.
The reason I put them in the playoffs is because 4 years without a race, for what reason? Who knows?
Yeah.
They deserve a playoff race, in my opinion.
Okay.
Then we're going to Kansas, and then the only racetrack that gets 2 races in the year is the Roval. I think it's worked really well as a
Yep.
playoff uh, bracket buster.
Okay.
And then in the championship round, we're going to Richmond, Las Vegas, and then Homestead.
Okay.
That's my schedule. With that, I wanted to say that I would like to have uh, when you lead a lap, you get a point towards the regular season.
Okay.
You lead the most laps, you get another point plus a point, a playoff point.
Okay.
So potential of 2 points during the regular season, and then a potential another playoff point, and then stages are the same, and then
Yep.
um, I want to give more points to the winner. I honestly just I haven't come to a good conclusion on that. Right
Okay.
now we get 5. I kind of want to do 10, but you know,
We have a lot of you and I have a lot of similarities in places we went, some where we diverge.
yep.
Definitely some similar concepts in terms of incentivizing points. Okay.
So that's my 33 race season. There's not one track that gets ran twice unless it's an exhibition race.
Okay.
And I did, like I said, I did Charlotte because it was a good race for the All-Star race most of the time. Some of the races weren't that good because of the way they ran the race. Like when they did the if you win a segment, you're guaranteed in top 4 spots that year. So
Yep.
Jimmy Johnson won the first segment and rode around for 3 segments.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that year sucked because it's like, okay, what's he got to? He's gonna have to do nothing for 80 laps or whatever it was. So, but yeah, I would love to do that. That would be my dream season for this coming year.
Okay. I think overall I like most of it. I still think it's too long by about 6 races. So um I
I
would
think you're proud of me for even reducing it 3.
I'm surprised you reduced it because I honestly thought you were going to stay at 36. I just think when you compare it and contrast our seasons currently, not your adjusted season, but just the season in general, we have way too much racing, and racing fans will say that it's not enough. We want more. The sponsors and the TV partners will say they want more, but you can tell there's fatigue in different periods of the year because there's so much, and then you've also got
Well,
other things going on. There's just too much, so we need fewer of them spread out across that time period if they really want to cover from February to November, which we
oh well,
talked
with
about
that,
mine.
something I didn't say. My last race is October 19th,
See,
even
that's
with 3 weeks off. So it's just a matter of, and I did that the way I did that. You know, you're taking 3 races out. You still give the teams 3 weeks off, and you're ending earlier by 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks.
yeah.
So I mean, I did that because you hear these like door bumper clear. They're always complaining, and with just cause, they're always complaining they don't have enough off weeks.
Mhm.
Well, this gives you 3 off weeks, technically more considering you got the All Star race in Charlotte. I mean, you got 3 races back to back to back in Charlotte or in North Carolina where you're home. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like this schedule really helped those team members out being at home more often, my
Okay. Is
opinion.
there anything that you didn't put in there that you wanted to put in there that you forgot about until like last minute? You're like, crap, I wanted to add that.
No, I actually had to make quite a few changes as I got near the bottom.
Mhm.
I forgot about Richmond until I got to the end of the season, and I was like, you know what? If they're still working on that tire like they have been,
Mhm.
Richmond might turn out to be good.
Yep.
I didn't want Martinsville in that in the last 3. So I just like, well, Richmond got screwed over by having a race taken away in the real world. I'll
Yep.
give them a race in the championship round.
Yep. I agree. I
Um,
think if the tire continues to evolve and address and perform like they've showed it can between the Bristol race and then what they did with it more importantly at Martinsville. And I just think I agree with you. I think we can get there to where it'll be better.
yeah.
So I'm good with it
So
overall.
what's
I like the points twinks. I'm more definitive on what I'm going to do with the points, so we'll get into that. Um, I'd be okay with your schedule. I want it to be shorter, but I'd be okay with your schedule because you end before your major off season. You give the teams their time with their families, a big downtime because you're giving them all of November, all of December, all of January. So they're getting almost 4 months because we don't
Mhm.
start until toward the end of February or toward the middle of February with the clash. So
What did you think about my having a blood shootout the night before the Super Bowl?
I think that would be good. The only downside is I think it has to move from Daytona. If you want to capitalize on the Super Bowl viewership, I would almost make it follow wherever the Super Bowl is hosted, which is going to always be
As
somewhere
close
warm in
to
that time of
it
year. So I
as
think
close
you'd
to
have
it
to
as you can.
almost, I think you would have to almost follow the LA Coliseum model of, okay, if the Super Bowl is going to be, let's say, in Arizona that year, if you don't want to go to Phoenix, then you've got to go to some local short track there, which I think is when we get to my schedule, you'll see I've kind of done that. The Clash, the All Star
We
Race.
almost went to Irwindale, but it's shut down.
So I have Irwindale on my schedule because it's supposed to go
It's
out of
shut
business.
down,
But
bro.
so because it's supposed to close after this year, but if NASCAR were to award them a cup race, they ain't going out of business. They're keeping that track open. And that's my thought. You wanted to keep your market in California. Well, this is a track in California you can have. Uh,
Okay.
so that was my thought process on it. So I'm good with your schedule.
I'm interested in seeing what tracks that did not get dates with you. With that.
Yep.
What number is your schedule? How many you got?
I've got all right. So my total number of races is 28. That's two bonuses and 26 points paying races. There are
Hold
16.
on. So
Yeah.
you have 26 total races, 28 with exhibitions.
Yep.
Oh
26
my
total
God.
races. So less is more. I'm going to give you a lot of off time. We're not going to start anywhere near the Super Bowl because I want the weather to warm up so that because what I've seen is and what we've seen with these cars is the hotter the tracks, the greasier the tracks, the better they tend to race. They slip and slide. So
Yeah,
I want to
you
start
got
when the
it.
temperatures warm up, and I want to end while the temperatures are still warm. Um, and some of the tracks that I know we've seen in the past perform really well when they're hot and greasy. I don't have them purposely until later in the schedule because they're going to perform better at those periods of time, based on the age of the asphalt, things like that. Um, so I reduced it to 28 races total. Points wise, there are three plate tracks or drafting, whatever how you want to categorize them as, or aero drafting tracks, as Dale Jr. likes to call them. He hates calling them plates, and he hates considering Atlanta a drafter. But there are three of those. There's four road courses, eight short and 11.5 miles, or bigger, because that's where the car tends to shine. So I think it should make up the majority of the schedule.
Right.
If they're fixing the short course tire, then I wanted to enhance the short tracks because that was what the sport was born in, and it's the bread and butter of what fans love because they're always on top of each other, there's beating banging. I didn't want to get rid of all the road courses because they do have some good road racing, but I think seven is way too many for an oval based sport. So I tried to keep them because they're also very much a wild card. So I tried to keep them and the drafting at a similar ratio of there's going to be seven wild cards in this 26 races, but it's
I,
not it's not a massive, between the seven of them, you still got 19 other events to get yourself where you need to
do,
be.
do you mind if I stop you for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
The main thing that I forgot to say is remember in was it 21 where we ran two different packages.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I forgot to mention you reminded me just now. The short tracks and the road courses are going to have 800 horsepower.
Okay, I'm fine with
So
that. I didn't account
I
for that
mentioned that.
because we're softening the tire, but if that was something that was on the board, I would agree. I think I would have very much a high 800 to 900 horsepower option for all of your short and your road course.
Hmm.
You know what? And honestly, your plate too, because then it would provide more separation. You wouldn't be able to stay
They're
on top
never
of
going to
each other.
give you
You would
800
have to pass
horsepower
each
for
other.
plates.
So
That's way too fast. They won't let it happen. But we're kings, so this works.
again, I'm in charge. They look. You know what? You're supposed to be the best drivers in America, and you like to say you're some of the best drivers in the world. Sack up, put your ball
Hell,
on, and
the other
get in
thing I
that
had
900
was
horsepower car, and hopefully you don't fly out of the fence at Talladega.
my plate tracks. They'll have the spoiler is going to be the same height as if it was at a mile and a half.
Okay.
Spoilers are going to be the same height all the way across the board. We're not going to have what's Junior call 'em, big
Oh
ass
yeah, the high
spoilers.
downforce or the
We're not going to have a big ass
big ass
spoiler
spoilers. Yeah.
yeah. We're going to have the same height. And I believe that will create separation
Okay.
personally.
I agree. I think that will be good too.
All
So that
right.
was my
I'm
track
curious, but
breakdown in terms of categories. As far as points are concerned, like you, I feel the points need some adjusting. I'm okay with the point per position deal, but I restructured the bonus points. So I'm going to award massive bonus points if you're in the top three every race.
okay.
So a win gets you 10, second gets you 5, third gets you 2 points towards the
Oh,
playoffs.
you get playoff points for finish top three.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Hold on
Okay.
1 second. I just had a delivery. So yeah, I awarded more bonus points based on, the complaints everybody had this year was Joey Logano wasn't a deserving champion. He only scored the 12th most points. I have no issue with him winning because the whole premise was win and you're in. He won a race. He won multiple races.
Yes, you did.
The whole premise of the system is win to advance. He won 2 races to advance. And the one he got elevated into, the round he missed, that he rightfully would have made it in because the other car was illegal. So I have no issues with him whatsoever. They stepped up, they performed. But to assuage the fans' concerns, and just to make the point of, if you think that the Kyle Larson situation or Kevin Harvick a couple of years ago, where they won 9 races, Jeff Gordon in 2014, where he won a bunch and didn't make it, he scored the most points that year, should have won the championship. To address that, I elevated the top three every race, so it gives you a reason to not just to be smart, basically. Yes, you want to win, but each position back, there's a significant bonus cushion for the winner, but by 50% over second, and then the same thing down to third. After that, it's the normal. Everybody gets one stage point. One, down through the top 10.
Okay.
But you also get a point for leading the lap, regular season point, no bonus points. You get a point for leading the most laps, but you do get a bonus point for leading the most laps towards the
So
playoffs,
just like
also
mine.
like yours.
Okay.
There will be stage points still. There will be no stage cautions. We're not breaking up the races. I
I
want
forgot
racing
to say that.
strategy
Yep,
back.
I'm right with you. Right with you
Yep.
on that.
I'm tired of seeing the strategy predetermined based on where the cautions are. I want the races to unfold naturally. I think if you have that, you will begin to have more part failures in these cars between the brakes, the distressing on the suspension, things like that.
The
Failures
engine.
cause cautions naturally. The strategies cause cautions, and some of the best races we've had this year, this past season, were because of the strategy not being known. Are they going to make it to the end when Joey Logano milked the fuel, or gambling on the tires at Bristol earlier in the spring when they didn't know. Are you going to back it down enough to save your tires? Those things can still happen. You need to, but if I tell you here's the caution, and you only have to milk it to here, as opposed to how long are you willing to stay out there, I think you're going to get a much better race.
Yep, I agree with you.
So as far as regular season championship final, like the regular season after my 17 races, there's only 9 in the playoffs, not 10, because it's 3 rounds of 3. So the
You have
regular,
a 9 race playoff
yep, only 9, because 10
with
didn't break down
20,
the way I wanted it
with
to evenly.
26 races.
So I went with 9 races in the playoffs.
God, your playoffs are forever in that
Yeah,
scenario.
I could move it around where it's only 6, but I think 9 works well. Uh, so I reduced the field. No more of this 16 people get in. It's 12. We're going back to 12.
Yeah, I went to 14, so
I think 12 is right. I think it worked well when it was 12. Regular season champ gets 30 bonus points.
30. Okay.
Second gets 10 bonus points. Third gets 5. Everybody else gets nothing. So you can't afford to go out there and be stupid. You do have to go out there, and this rewards consistency. If Kyle Larson had not missed the Coke 600 and I gave him 30 bonus points, his ass is for sure in the final 4, because
Yeah.
he basically got to miss a race. And so
Yep.
I think that, along with the 10 bonus point, like the thing, it would eliminate teams making mistakes. Like they would really hone in on the details. Not that they're probably not now, but it would really incentivize you to, hey, every point matters. You can never let off the throttle between the bonus points during the racing events that I've handed out and then the regular season bonus points that are up for grabs, I've pretty much assured you without giving you a bye, if you get there, you can pretty much skate your way, if you're smart, to the final round of my 9 race playoff by winning the regular season. So it still rewards that season long consistency, because you're probably not going to win the regular season without at least winning 1 or 2 races. And if I gave you 20 points, let's say you won 2 races, so you've got 20 points there, you've won or yeah, at least 20 points. Let's say you won at least one stage and you won a race, 20, 40, now you're at 70 points. You're given a race spot each round. You're pretty much guaranteed to get there. So I think that would address it, what most people's complaints were. But it would still also incentivize everybody to continue to race hard. But where I changed the playoffs is not just the number of races. There are 12 drivers that start, 3 get eliminated after each round, but your points do not reset. Whatever you start the playoffs with is only what you start the playoffs with. You can continue to build on it, but I feel like what Alex Bowman did this season, he stepped up in the playoffs. He qualified, he stepped up, and every round his points got washed away. Joey Logano's, again, why he's a deserving champion, got washed away. If you work hard and you make it up, you shouldn't have that taken away from you. That at the same time, if you are a consistent performer at the beginning of the season, I don't think that you should get this massive handicap once this playoffs start. You're in the playoffs
Yeah,
now.
in this
You're supposed to be
situation,
the best.
the
You should
guy that got
continue to
30
perform.
bonus points
So
shouldn't need a reset.
so after the first 3 races of my playoffs, wherever you finish is where you finish. If you're below the cut line, you're cut. But you don't automatically do just enough. It avoids the Denny Hamlin scenario of this year where you're basically doing math and analytics, and it takes away that part that, while I kind of enjoy it, most fans don't want to see them do that. They want to see racers race all out all the time. Well, now you don't have that option. You can't coast. You have to race those 3 races, because those 3 races will affect where you start the next round and whether or not you make it to the final. So you
Okay.
can't afford to be
So it's
conservative.
essentially like the chase,
Yep.
but people get eliminated.
Yep. So you will take out, and I haven't decided how many get eliminated. There's 12 drivers. So I'm either going to take out 3 per round or 2 per round. And you're either going to have 6 racing for it or 8 racing for
How
it.
many? You have 9 races. How many? How many? What's your round numbers?
3 rounds, 3 races per round. So
Okay.
the championship, whoever wins the title will for sure have deserved to be there, and it will be a total body of work. And it's going to have more people eligible for it. Either there's going to be 6 people going for it or 8 people going for it, because you could have a bad race. So I don't want you
Yeah,
to
I
eliminate
have eight
one thing.
people, three races, 8 people from winning the championship.
So I'm either going to eliminate 3, and it would give me 6 people racing in the final 3 races, and the best of those 6 win, or I'm going to have the best of 8 by eliminating 2. And I'm leaning more towards the best of 8 because I think it just gives you more cars to watch,
Mm-hmm.
which would create more storylines, better TV coverage, which would make NASCAR happy. I'm NASCAR, so I'm going to get more storylines, more news headlines, and the sponsors will be happy with that. So that's all the changes I made there. Now, for the actual schedule itself, we're going to start the Clash in North Wilkesboro.
Okay.
I don't think it's quite ready for a points race yet. I think the asphalt needs to race, it needs to age. So I'm not going to give it a points race yet, but we're going to do 75 laps there. Caution laps don't count. So you're not going to be able to run over each other and advance yourself, or you're just going to keep doing this over and over again. They have unlimited fucking tires. They can come in as much as they want, because
Okay.
that way, again, and we got about 10 minutes left, but that way, you're not going to bulldoze your way to the front. We're not going to have this crap we had at the Clash in LA, where you just bulldoze your way up there and the laps run out and that guy can't get back to you. You're going to have to win this race straight up. And it's only going to be last year's, not the current year's. You either have to be a prior Clash winner, a prior pole winner for the prior year, or the season or the last year's champion.
Okay.
That's it. So we only want, because again, we're awarding points. That's the other thing I meant to mention. If you win the pole, you get a playoff point, because qualifying should matter. It should not be a throwaway. And at some of these tracks, qualifying is not weighted equally at all these tracks. Some places pit position doesn't matter, like a Daytona or a Talladega or Sonoma, where it very much matters at somewhere like Phoenix or Martinsville, your different tracks. So that's going to matter.
Okay.
After that, we have a week off. Then we have 2 weeks of speed weeks. We're going back to that because that's your preemptive, build up. We have pole qualifying. We have the 125s and the Daytona 500 of those 2 weeks.
You went back to 125 as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the drivers, we're going to have a full media week, not a media day. You're going to bring your paint schemes and your cars. I want full sponsor showcase. I want driver showcase. I want team showcase. I want to dominate the headlines. It's after the Super Bowl. This gives me an opportunity, since I've shortened my season to start in March. I have an opportunity to suck all the air out of the room, and I'm going to take it to build up the start of our season. Then we're going to work. We're going to go.
Doing this in Charlotte.
Yep, media week will be in Charlotte. Then we're going to go to Phoenix because it's warm. We're going to get it out of the way, and we're going to work our way from the West Coast back towards the center of the country to the east. So we're going to go from Phoenix. We're going to go to Vegas, but we're not racing at the Vegas racetrack. We're saving that for later. We're either going to do the F1 course, and if for some reason we can't do the F1 course, this is going to replace my Chicago street course because I think it's warmer. You can run it earlier in the year, and I think it'll be a better race track overall. And you get the lights and the stuff, so it'll be run at night on the F1 course if we can under the lights of the strip. If they don't want to play ball, then we'll go to Laguna Seca. So
I think Laguna Seca.
Yep. So after it, but again, I'm going to give Vegas the opportunity. If they don't take it, we'll go to Laguna Seca. Then we'll come down to Sonoma in the spring. I like the green. I'm with you. We're going to get those out of the way. California is a big market, makes up a massive part of the country. We're basically hitting that and then coming back across. Like I said, Irwindale, if it's still in business, if not, we're coming to Rockingham.
I was speaking to Chris about this, and I felt he was talking about, West Coast swing, but you don't want to stay out west too long.
No, I agree. After that, we're going back to the middle of the country.
Okay.
If Irwindale is available, we would take it. If not, then we're going to go to Rockingham. Actually, sorry, we go to Texas, then Rockingham, then Richmond, in Charlotte for the 600. There's a couple events that anchor certain days to where the schedule has to slide a little bit.
Yep.
We're still going to have the 600 that bow ties with the Indy 500. We're going to space that out enough with a late enough start so that people can do the double, because that's better for all motorsports. So I want people to be there.
Yep.
After Charlotte, you have an off week. We go to Talladega. Notice I haven't touched the All-Star race yet, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're going from Charlotte to Talladega. We're getting
I've got to guess
all of our great races out of the way,
race.
And all our wild cards are going to be out of the way primarily before we get to the playoffs. I want the playoff winner to be a master of all disciplines, but I don't want it to be so gimmicky or fluky that people don't trust the outcome. Yeah, I want it to be the right result. And I think we have too much lottery in it right now, which makes for maybe good TV ratings, but I think it diminishes the integrity of the sport. So we're going to put that back by taking some of that out. Then after Talladega, we're going to ORP. We are not going to Indianapolis. We have no business being on Indianapolis. These cars don't run good on Indianapolis. We're not going back to the oval, and we're not going back to the road course. We're going to, this car races good on 1.5 miles. It races good on short tracks. When they come up with a flat, fast package, we can talk. But for right now, we don't need to be at Indianapolis.
I don't know. One of my favorite races to watch my entire life has been the Indy Oval on TV. Not in person. Not in person.
Okay, that's fair.
On TV, I absolutely love it. So,
and again, if it's with an emphasis on people attending these races, that place seats almost 500,000 people. If I can't get 500,000 people to show up, I don't want to be there because it makes us look bad.
Okay.
ORP, we're going to sell out. We're going to fill those 30,000 stands, stands, and if we bring in, and it's close racing, it's banked. We used to put on great racing for nationwide, so we're going to go to ORP.
Okay.
And we're going to Dover.
I wish I would have thought of ORP for my schedule in general, but
yeah. Um, then we're going to Dover, then Pocono, New Hampshire, Watkins Glen while it's still warm, so it'll be greasy and slick. Michigan, Kentucky, and then we're either going to go to Nashville or Iowa, depending on which one fits better with the not the fairgrounds but the speedway.
National
And
Super Speedway.
yep. Then we come. This is the only track in the entire thing that got two races. Then we begin and end the regular season at Daytona. This is your last chance to get into the playoffs if you haven't won a race. It does
This is
it does create a
surprising
good
for me.
race. I
This
didn't
is
want to do
surprising
that.
for me. Oh,
I violated my own rule, but
yes, you did.
I feel like it's produced some really good storylines. It always seems to piss you and I off. So I mean, if that can't, that's got to be a good thing. It gets people talking, and it gets people talking heading into the All Star break and the playoff kickoff. So we're going to have a week from Daytona to the All Star, and then a week from the All Star to the playoff start offs. The All Star race is not going to any racetrack that hosts a cup date. It's going to the fans because it should be about the fans. So the All Star race, we're either going to go to if these cars can really run well, which looked like they could at Bristol Dirt, we're either going to Knoxville or Eldora. And if the fans don't want to do dirt, then we're going to an asphalt local short track somewhere. And your options are Five Flags Speedway, Memphis, South Boston, Nashville Fairgrounds, Stafford, Anderson. But it's going to be a place that only seats, 10, 15,000 people, that your locals that normally can't go to a NASCAR race. We're taking the All Stars and we're going to companion it with their big events and give them an opportunity to come see the guys they follow and watch on a week to week basis that maybe they couldn't afford to go.
So
This is,
your All Star race is the week before the playoffs start.
yep, there's going to be the All Star race
That was my guess earlier.
in a week, and then the playoffs begin.
Okay.
So, but this gives us a chance to, you get a car that is going to be basically a throwaway. And I want it to be a short track because I want them beating and banging. And I want them to be at a small track at a venue where your blue collar Americans that can't afford to go to some of these more expensive places can't trek to, Vegas or Texas and pay $10,000 for an RV spot like Eddie Gossage had at the time. I want them to have access to it. And to make it worth their time for the teams to invest in this, the purse is $2 million. So we're doubling the purse because it should have been doubled
Okay.
a long time ago. We
Yeah,
got this
NASCAR got
massive
plenty of
TV
money.
deal. We're going to pay you a lot of money to go there.
Okay.
You get nothing for second place. So it's win or nothing. Bring home the
Okay.
steering wheel. All right. After that, we have in between the All Star race and the playoffs, we have a week off. That week off is reserved in Charlotte or Daytona, either one. More than likely Charlotte. Um, though I think New York City probably wouldn't be a bad idea, just because of the media capital that it is, to have your championship media week between the start of the playoffs and the end of the All Star. To
Okay. 12 drivers up there.
yeah. So we got a minute left. We'll stop. Then we'll get into my playoffs.
All right. Sounds good.
Right back. This is getting good, I think.